Hello there and welcome to the Source of Concept tutorial. In our today's tutorial we are going to discuss about how can we insert a data from HTML form to MySQL database by using a PHP. First of all, we have to understand what is a PHP. PHP itself stands for Hypertext Preprocessor, which is a server-side scripting language that is used to develop a static and dynamic website and web applications. So why it is a server-side scripting language? This is because to run this script you must have a server. In this tutorial we are going to use one among the local server, which is called a XAMPP. So before proceeding with anything we have to start our server. And for my side I'm going to start a XAMPP server, which is a local server, to run my PHP script. Click Start on Apache server and MySQL server. Apache server is a server for PHP script and MySQL is a server for MySQL statements. We are going to use this MySQL server to run MySQL query to send data to the database. But the data that will be inserted through an HTML form, they are needed to be sent to the database. So first of all, you must have a database. Let us create a database that will be used to store the data that will be inserted by user through an HTML form. Click this admin button to open a dashboard. Click on phpMyAdmin. Here is the graphical user interface for creating a database, but you may use a console interface here to create your own. But for simplification of this process, I prefer to use this graphical user interface. So to create a database, click on New, give a database name here, maybe organization, click on Create. After that, the database organization here has been created. After that, you have to create a table. Let me call it a staff, which has 3 number of column, and after that click Go. Now create a column for this table. Let me call it an ID, data type integer. Let me give it a length of 50 and give an auto increment, and this should be a primary key. The second column, let me call it a name. Let me change this data type to varchar, length 50, and last one, let me call it password. I'm going to change it to a varchar and length of 50. After that, click Save. Okay, my database organization has been created here, and inside of it there is a table called a staff. The staff table has the following structure, has the 3 columns, which is an ID, name, and password. Now let us go back to create a form which will enable user to insert an information. So open your text editor. In this tutorial I'm going to use a Notepad++ as my text editor. Let me create a new file here. I'm going to type an HTML code for creating a form for the user to fill out the information. Let me save it before proceed. Press Ctrl and S on your keyboard to save, or click in this button. Navigate to the drive where your XAMPP has been installed. In XAMPP folder, this folder for your local server, click htdocs, and here you may create folder for this script to be stored. I'm going to create a folder called the Source of Concept in abbreviation form. And inside of this I'm going to save this script, call it an index, and here make sure you save your file with the extension of PHP. After that click Save. Then let me finalize to design my form. In this form there is a 3 attribute which is necessary for our process. The first attribute is a method. I'm going to use a post method because I need my information to be sent to somewhere else. Then I'm going to use an action. This action attribute means in which file this data should be sent. As I said before, I want to send this information to somewhere else. So The action value that will be passed here is the place where your data will be received before going to the database. I'm going to type an index handler.php. This is another file of PHP that will be used to receive this information, and after this information has been sent to this file will be responsible to validate and checking for any error. If those information are valid, also this file will be responsible to send them to the database. It is not necessary to use a handler. You may use this single script to perform all the issue, but I prefer to use this handler because any bug that will rise up, it will be easier for me to correct. After that, let us design a field for user to enter an information. After that, save it and let us go to the browser to see this design. Open your browser. Here I'm going to use this address, localhost, then type the folder that contains your script. Mine I saved as a source of concept in abbreviation. After that, press enter and this form will appear in your browser. Let us give it a little good look. When I type some information here, it can be seen this as password and this as a plain text, and this is a button. But the button by default has a name, submit query. What if I want to change, instead of submit query, I want to type a save? So give it a value, attribute value as save and reload. This is the interface where user will put information of name and password. But when you go back in our database, there is a 3-column, an ID, name, password. Name and password, we have designed its interface, but an ID, there is no need of an interface because this is the number which will be automatic increment. So because we need to interact with the database, the first thing in a PHP script, you must create a connection to the database. So I prefer to open new file here for creating a connection and type the following PHP code. There is a difference between HTML code and PHP code. To write a PHP code, we are starting with this sign, and inside of this we're typing a PHP, and all PHP code will be in between this and this. Let me save it before proceed as a connection.php. Save all your script as a PHP files. Now we want to create a connection to our database. To create a connection to the database, there are something to keep in mind. First of all, you must understand your server. You must understand your user who using your server. You must understand the password for the user who using server, and the final, you must understand your database. So we are going to initialize this information to PHP variable. To create a PHP variable, start by typing a $sign following your variable name. Make sure you follow all rules of giving variable name. The first variable, I'm going to call it a server, which will store a value of my local server as a local host. After that, create another variable and I'm going to call it as a user. XAMPP server has a default user as a root, so I'm going to type a root here, and default password for this user is a null. So pass, I'm going to pass an empty string like this. Please keep in mind that in this double quotation there is no space in between, because when you type a space here, it means
this user has a password as a space character. After that, MyDB is called as an organization. This is the name of our database here. Now we have specified all the necessary variables that we are going to use when we are creating a connection to the database. So now let me create a link that will connect our script to the database. And this link I'm going to store in a variable called connect. After typing this, I will tell you why I'm going to store this connection to the variable. Type MySQL connect. Here there are some arguments that have to be passed through this MySQL function. The first one is the host. This is the server which we are using to run this script. My host is a server as localhost. The second one is a username. My username is a user as a root. The third one is password. My password is pass as a null here. The database name is database as organization here. After that, I'm going to terminate this statement. Now, why I stored this connection to this variable? I want to test the connection if success or not success. So I'm going to use an if statement here. If connect means if connection is success, display some message here, and else also display some message here. If the connection is success, we are using an echo to display an information to the browser. Let me type connection success, and if not success, I'm going to type connection not success. Now let us test this connection before proceed. Here I'm going to type connection.php. It say connection success, but whenever I change this database name instead of organization to this, the information that will display is unknown database organization, and the message it say connection not success. Let me correct it and proceed. From here we have created a connection to our database. Now let us create this index handler which will be used to receive the information that will be inserted through this form and then take them to the database. Create a new file here and start by typing your PHP code and save it as a handler.php. We want this data from this form to be sent to this handler, and this handler take this data to send to the database. So we used a post method to post this information to this handler, and here we have to receive the information that will be sent from this form. First of all, we have to create a variable that will be used to receive the information. I'm going to call it a name for receiving a name, and here we are using this post, and inside of this post we have to pass the name as a variable for a specific information. So for this field we are using this username as the variable that hold the value that a user will enter through this field. So I type this username in term of string. Let me create another variable here as a pass, and I'm going to take this password as a variable that hold the value that will be entered through this field, and I'm going to pass here as a password. After that, we have to send this data to the database, but because we are using a button to send this data, we have to validate a button if has been clicked or not. I'm going to use if statement here. If is set, and inside of this I'm going to pass a name of this button. I gave it a name as a button. Here I'm going to type a post, and inside of this post I'm going to pass the name of my button. So I'm going to use this button to ensure that the data will be sent to the database if and only if when this button is clicked. This isSet function is sent here to confirm that the name of the button has been used to execute this set of statements. And this means that any set of statements that will be written inside of this if statement will be executed when the name of the button is used. I prefer to initialize this MySQL query to a variable because finally I want to ensure if the data has been sent to the database or not. So let me call it insert is equal to MySQL I query. The link is the connection of your database. It may happen in some cases in your PHP script you have more than one connection that has different databases. So which connection you want to execute through this MySQL query? So here we have to specify a variable that we have created in this connection as a connect. I'm going to copy it and paste here. After that I put a comma and type MySQL statement as a string. So insert into my database has a table called a staff here. So I'm going to insert data to the staff. Insert into staff values. The value that will be placed here will be equal to the column of our table. So the first value will be ID, the second one will be name, and the third one will be password. So because this ID is an auto increment, there is no need to pass any value, so I'll put an empty string. The second one I'll put a name. This name is a variable that we have initialized here, which has a value of username, and this username comes from this form as a username. So the second one will be pass. After that we can test this query if it is success or not. So I'm going to type an if statement here and put my variable. If this process is success, display a message saying that data inserted successful. And the final part is to include this connection to this script, and this is the big reason why the connection has a separate file, because instead of typing a single line in this script we have to copy all these lines and paste here. But it may happen you may have a more than one script, so the only simple way is to type include, and inside of include function pass your file that you need to be included to this script as a single script. I'm going to pass a connection, so it's equal to copy all these lines and paste it here. After that save it and let us test our script. Here I'm going to type a name of my script as an index.php. Let me insert data. I'm going to save it. Connection success and data inserted successful. This connection success is the echo statement that comes from this connection, so I have to comment because I don't need it anymore. After that, data inserted successful. Now let us ensure by looking inside of our database. So I'm going to open this staff table, and when I open this, it say name as a John, password 12345, and ID as a 1. This is an auto increment number, and as you can see in my SQL statement I didn't pass anything here because we set that column as an auto increment. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe, like, comment and share. Thank you again, and goodbye.